All right, hello there. Today we're going to be talking about lesson 2 in chapter 5, angles and sides of triangles. This is on page 192 in your textbooks. Let's go ahead and get rolling. So the first thing that we're going to be talking about is the angle measures in a triangle. Each triangle has 3 angles. This particular triangle has angle X, angle Y, and angle Z. And here's what you can know about every single triangle and their angles. Whenever you add up all their angles, in this case x plus y plus z, they are always going to come to a sum of 180 degrees. Every single time. Okay? So let's use that information to do a couple of problems. Remember while remembering that all 3 angles are going to add up to 180 degrees. So here's the problems that are on example number 1. Okay, example number 1 on page 192. We have a triangle that has the measurements of 50. We have 28, and the other one is x. And our job is to find x, and we can do so because we know that all of the angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. And so we add it up, we set it equal to 180, and then we treat this like an equation, and we simply just solve for x. We do 50 plus 28, which comes to 78. We're left with plus x equals 180. And then to solve for x, we're just going to do the inverse, which is going to be minus 78, minus 78. And 180 minus 78 is 102. So the measure of x must be 102 degrees. Additionally, we can label this an obtuse triangle because it has an angle that is greater than 90 degrees. It would be a right triangle if it had a 90-degree angle, and an acute triangle if all of its angles were smaller than 90. All right, let's try the next example. This is letter B in your book. We have an angle measure of 59. We have plus x. And then we have plus, we need one more, but I don't know the number. Now the number should be there, and we should know it, even though it's not written. It's that little half square that we see in the corner of our triangle. This half square right here. From our last lesson, you should remember that that stands for a right triangle or a right angle, and a right angle is 90 degrees. So we know that this angle right here is also 90 degrees. So now we can plug that in, and we could use that to solve for x. So I'm going to do 90 plus 59, and I'm going to get 149 plus x is equal to 190. Then I'm going to subtract 149, subtract 149. This cancels out. I'm just left with x. And then over on the right side, 190. Oh, I don't know why I wrote that. I'm sorry. 180 minus 149 is going to give you 31. And so our answer is x equals 31. And if we were asked to label this triangle, this would be a right triangle because it has one angle that is 90 degrees. All right. Here are a couple of examples that you can try. You are asked to first find the value of x, and then you're asked to classify the triangle. And again, your options are either going to be an acute triangle, an obtuse triangle, or a right triangle. Okay, so pause the video here, Solve these two and classify them, and unpause when you're ready. All right, let's tackle the red one first. To tackle this red one, here's what we got to do. We have to do 50. Oops, wrong tool there, sorry. We have to do 50 plus 28 plus x equals 180. 50 plus 28 gives me 78 plus x equals 180. And then I'm going to do minus 78 minus 78. Cancel that out. I get x is got to be equal to 102. And because x is 102, which is bigger than 90, that would classify this as an obtuse triangle. Right? Not too bad. I think we covered that one okay. So let's move on and let's talk about the blue triangle. Give me a quick second to erase the work that we've done so we can get a little bit more room. Here, I made these a little bit too big. There we go. Now we can move this one over. And we will work this one over here on the right-hand side. So for this blue one, we are going to have 45 plus 44 plus x, and again, that all equals 180 degrees. 45 plus 44 is going to give me 89, plus the x still is 180. Then I'm going to subtract 89, subtract 89. On the left side, it cancels out, just leaving me with x, so I bring that down. And then 180 minus 89 is going to give me 91. And this too then would be classified as an obtuse triangle. And now that I'm looking at that red triangle over here in the top left, I'm now realizing that that is the same one that I gave you as the example. I apologize for that. If you want another example, it's going to be number 1. It should be an orange triangle on page 192, where the measurements are 78, 27, and x. Couple more classifications of triangles that we're going to go over today and learn. First is an isosceles triangle, and here's what we need to know about an isosceles triangle. An isosceles triangle has at least two sides that are congruent. And if you remember, congruent is just a fancy math word that means equal or the same. They will have the same length, in other words. So I'll write that in here. Okay. What that would look like is on this white triangle here, you would have this side, which would be the same as this side, because obviously the base of the triangle, the leg that it's resting on, is quite shorter than the two sides. These two are equal, and because these two are equal, they're congruent. This is an isosceles triangle. How I remember that is it starts with ISO, right? And another word that starts with ISO is isolated. So if you're isolated, there's one poor side over here, this side right here. He's sad because he doesn't have a friend to be with. So if there's a side that's isolated because he's not the same size, then it's an isosceles triangle. The other type of triangle that we're going to talk about is an equilateral triangle. And an equilateral triangle has all three sides that are congruent. and it's equal angular. And equal angular means that all the angles are congruent. Put a nice little yellow thing under there because that's important. So all three sides would be the same, just like that. And then not only that, but we would also have the angles be the same. Okay? And that would be an equilateral triangle. Of course, the third one that we don't have to take notes on, or that is not in your book, is one to go over, is a scalene triangle. And a scalene triangle is one where it doesn't have any sides that are the same or any angles that are the same. Here's the next example that we're going to be going over. It's on page 193. That's where I'm at right now. This is example number 2, and it says to find the value of x, then classify. So I'm going to find the value of x, then classify. And I am not going to draw the whole flag of Jamaica, as I can't because I'm not a good artist. So here is just the part of the flag that has the problem, that's relevant to the problem. And the bottom angle is 128 degrees, as seen right here. And in the top left and the top right are both x. And like I just got done saying, our job is to first find the value of x and then to classify this triangle. Okay, and so let's go ahead and we'll do that. To do that, we can set all of our angles, add them together, and make them equal 180 degrees. So I have x plus 128 equals 180 degrees. I'm going to combine my x's. X plus x is 2x plus 128 equals 180 degrees. Then the next step is I am going to subtract 128 from both sides. That just leaves me with 2x on the left, and on the right that's going to leave me with 52. And then all I have to do then to finish solving is divide by 2, divide by 2. This cancels out, and I get x is equal to 26. So that means that this angle is 26 degrees, and this angle is also 26 degrees. Now, the second part that I was supposed to do is that I was supposed to classify this triangle. So is this an equilateral triangle? No, it's not. This would be I just lost it. This would be an isosceles triangle. And maybe you're asking me how I know that it's isosceles, or you're thinking, how do you know that this is isosceles when you don't know the sides of, or the length of the sides? And here's why. Because you have two angles that are the same, those sides that are opposite of those angles are also the same. So because this side is opposite of this side over here, and this angle is opposite of this angle over here, and they're the same, that means those side lengths are also going to be the same. So this side is equal to this side, and that means we have an isosceles triangle. The other way that we can classify this is that it's obtuse because we have one angle, 128, that is bigger than 90, and so this is an obtuse triangle. Here we have example B. This is the flag of Cuba, and again, I am not going to draw the whole flag as I can't. But we are again asked to find the value of x. Why do I keep touching this screen there? Sorry about that. Let me start over. We are supposed to find the value of x then classify. And so we're going to go about this problem the same way we did the last one. We're going to take all of our angle measures, add them together, and set them equal to 180. Okay, so I have 60 plus x is 180. Then I'm going to combine my x's. X plus x gives me 2x. Now I'm going to subtract 60 on each side. Subtract 60, and that gives me 120. Bring down my 2x. My last step then will be to divide by 2, and I get x equals 60. So wherever there's an x, that angle is 60, so that means this is 60, and this one is 60 as well. What you'll notice about my triangle is that it has all the same angle measures, which means it has all the same side measures as well. So when we go to classify this, we are going to classify this as an equilateral and equiangular. All the sides are the same, and so are the angles. Okay, here's some examples that you can try. These are on the bottom of page 193. The bottom of page 193. You are to find what x equals and then to classify the triangle. So pause the video here and then unpause it when you're ready for the answers. Okay, so let's start to go over it here. First, tackling the big triangle on the left, we have 120 plus x should equal 180. Then we have 120 plus 2x equals 180. Then we're going to minus 120. We're going to minus 120. This cancels out. And left with 2x equals 60. And I'm going to divide by 2. Divide by 2. I get x equals 30. Okay, so I know that this degree here is 30 and this angle here is 30. And now I need to classify it. This is an obtuse triangle because it has a angle measurement that's more than 90. And it's also an isosceles because it has one side that is much longer than the other two. Remember, it's isolated. It doesn't have a friend that it's its same size. And so this long base here at the bottom is sad. Okay, let's shift our attention over to the triangle there on the right and see what we can do with that one. You'll notice that there are no numbers at all. It's just x and x and x, but I guarantee that we can do something with it. So let's solve this the same way that we would as if we had numbers, where we will do x plus x plus x is equal to 180. And then we will have x plus x plus x is equal to 3x, 180. Then what you should have done next is divide by 3 and divide by 3. And then you get, oops, sorry about that. You get x is equal to 60. So what that means is that this angle is 60, this angle is 60, and this angle is 60. When we go to classify this triangle is going to be equilateral, and this triangle is going to be equiangular. Did I spell that right? Yes, I did. Yay me. This is why I do math and not English, because I can't spell. Okay, equiangular. So you would have got x equals 60, equilateral, and equiangular, and then you'd be good. Well, that brings us to the end of what we need to cover today. Not too bad. I hope anyway. For your homework, let's go ahead and let's start working on page 194. Let's start with number 6. And let me see. You guys are kind of lucky because you don't have a lot of options here. 6 through 17 seems to be about fair. So thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you learned something. You're good. You're smarter now. I didn't bore you too much. Hope you guys have a good day, and we'll see you for section 3. Talk to you later.